Yeah.
So about 5 o'clock in the morning, I went home, I got showered, did everything I needed to for class, and so I called her back at about 8:40, and I said, how's Dad doing? She said, oh, he got up, and he got up that night after the episode, and I fed him, and he was amazing. She's like, yeah, he got up, and he went to the bathroom, and he's refusing to take any of his pills because it makes him go to sleep, and I shaved him, and this and that, and I was like, oh, okay. And, a week before that, he was driving himself to the coffee cup to eat, so,
yeah.
In a week's time, we're having to shave him and having to feed him. And, I'm like, okay, well, I have a split shift today, so I'm going to come right after my class at 11:15, and I have, this class starts. And so she says, okay. So I hang up the phone, and I went over and I started my coffee at the Keurig, the individual coffees, and I went in, I finished getting ready, and I go to grab my coffee, and I put my lid on the phone ring because it's my mom. I'm like, gosh, probably was going to bring her a check or something. So I answered the phone, and it was 8 minutes difference to pass away. And when I told her, asked her how you're doing, I
know how you feel. Like I said, I lost my dad literally last month, but his was, he was like having problems, and he's trying to get to the doctor, but it's full. And so the next night, his heart failed on him, and he didn't know, like, he was like, he was doing everything, but he was so I know honestly how you feel.
And was he at home? How did he go?
He works in Durango, yeah, he drives up and down from Monument to Durango from work, but he comes up here on the weekend, and we literally saw him that Sunday, and that Monday. So,
that's gotta be good.
Did your dad have Alzheimer's?
He didn't.
Okay. Because you said that he was fine and he's going to be Alzheimer's. So it's like,
he had, it was called squamous cell carcinoma of the lung, but they didn't diagnose that until June, like 18th of June. So prior to that, all we knew was that he had COPD. So he was losing some weight, but they kept saying it because of the COPD.
Yeah.
And, oh, it's so hard for you to breathe. Of course you're losing weight because your body's doing all this, doing everything to try to breathe, and I'm like, okay, no. There's a point where, there's something else that they may do a CAT scan, and in death they found that he had we call it a cyst the size of a grapefruit in between his lungs, and then it's already gone to his lymph nodes, and within 3 weeks it went to his, which they haven't checked his brain yet. It went to his throat, and he had 3 lesions in his brain. Well, they did for a cyber height, they wanted 3 brain lesions, because it wasn't very much. And that's like a really concentrated radiation therapy. And they got rid of those 3, but then the second time they checked him, he had just one of those little plugs in his arms. So they decided to go ahead and put one in his chest.
Port?
Yeah, port.
So he did have cancer?
Yeah.
It was cancer?
Oh yeah. Okay. And they took the port out and decided to do it in his chest. Okay. When they did that, he got a blood clot. When he got the blood clot, they put him on Coumadin.
Yeah, which is not.
And when they put him on Coumadin, he ended up having like hundreds of like little brain lesions that just bled out into his head, which is when he started kind of losing his sight. So.
I'm really sorry. That's not actually, my mom had breast cancer, so.
My sister does too. That's what's tough is a year ago, last November, so it's been almost 2 years now. My sister had breast cancer, and well, after breast cancer, she had a heart attack. After her heart attack, they put stents in. After her stents, well, 3 weeks after her mastectomy, her husband was a Denver police officer, got hit by another police officer, and he had to have his whole leg reconstructed. And so both of them were totally out of commission. And my dad was like, they did. They have, the funny thing is the my brother-in-law, Ron, he was trying to take care of, he was trying to take care of my sister when that happened. My nephew is a EMT. Well, when he got hit, they were working the same stretch of Denver, and he said, well, if you're going to go ahead and stabilize this guy, I'm going to go find out about that police officer. He's about police officers with his dad anymore. So he went down a few more streets to check out this something. It was his dad. He was the only respondent to his dad being hit by a car. Of course, his dad was, they had to take off, cut off all his clothes. They didn't know if he had hit his head or anything at that point. He was unconscious and pain and stuff. So that had to have been really devastating for him to be the respondent to his own dad. And then recently, after my sister's heart attack, now they're telling her that her breast implants didn't take, so they have to take them out, and they're afraid that she could go septic because of the donut or because of the infection. And so they have to take everything back out. And when they do that, she's already had all kinds of difficulties with blood bowel.
Did she have a
Sorry?
She just took it off.
Both.
Okay, she had a double. So my mom has had it horrible. Like, she's been out of the hyperbaric chamber because her skin's not growing. Her skin won't stay closed. So they need to have like a they need to have like a but like I really do think that there should be someone that talks about that for breast cancer like survivors who do reconstruction, because that is seriously it was the hardest process I've ever seen anyone go through. It was really hard.
Well, on top of it with her heart condition, so they can't give her look.
And then her husband's NQ.
Now he's okay, he's able to walk again, but
still, like that is when everything goes wrong, everything is good.
So on top of all that, we're dealing with that. So my sister was in I told you last week, my sister was in the hospital, my dad was at the same time.
No.
Oh, well, the brain bleed happened on like Monday, I think. And so I came to class Tuesday and I spent the night with my mom then, and my sister was also in the hospital. So it was both of them in the hospital at the same time. All right, well, we'll get started. Maybe most people are here.
Yes, I am. What's up? Okay. I told you I get out at 4. I'll be there as soon as I can, okay? Oh, well, I will call you when I get out and you can tell me where you are. Okay? Bye.
Okay, well, I'm going to start with returning some papers here. So we have Tori. Not here. What is it? The papers. Oh. Larissa. Ppcc. Maybe this is the wrong. Kristen Reader. Is this maybe the first class?
Yeah, I think so.
Ashley Schreiber. Oh, this is. Well, this should be you guys. Where's that? I guess this must be the other class. Not that bad, I'll survive. Okay, so let's just go over. Today's going to be kind of it's a simple day and a hard day. So let's start with turning in your papers. If you have whatever the best draft you have, that's going to be your rough draft. And your working rough draft is going to go behind. So what other drafts you have, put behind.
Wait, I only have one draft. Because my other draft I left at home because you said we weren't turning it. The one that I wrote like notes and like just the notes. Like the bullet one, and then you said the rough draft was due, and then you didn't really do much because the actions came. Okay.
Turn to what you have. The best draft on top, the working rough draft on the bottom if you have it, and send them up. I don't. I did.
As long as
I don't have to.
to keep your name on them.
Yeah, I always put the name on.
too long.
Yeah, if you have a rough draft at home, if you want me to give the working rough draft grade, yeah, you should get these back on Thursday.
But if we do not have a working rough draft, we just brought in the rough draft.
My week was not into, I wasn't into telling everybody anything. My husband had to come and tell my first time. Okay, so this is your.
She said that wasn't.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it should be tight. So is this your rough draft here?
So you do want the thing that I put the bullets on and
I want your working rough drafts, but you can do it next time.
okay, sorry.
Always, everything you work on goes behind. It shows your progress. It shows what you're working on. So.
I thought,
You're not getting this.
I know.
There's 3 drafts. The working rough draft that you work on and bring to class and use this for your peers to help you. Then you write a rough draft. You turn the rough draft into me. I fix up the rough draft and say, fix this, fix that, turn it back, and give you an opportunity to make a final copy.
okay, that's where I messed up. So I need to be, okay, yes, I understand what you're doing.
Here's the paper to sign in. That's okay. I make it harder than things are too.
I just don't know.
Really gonna suck to walk all the way to the other side of the school and to the farthest part of the parking lot I can find.
Sign-in sheets going around there.
Why do you park over there?
Because by the time I get here, since it's like 8
And
o'clock,
I've
they've
collected
vacated
the-
everyone and their mother was here.
Guys, I've collected
So
the rough drafts and
I
the
only got 1 or
working
2
rough drafts.
that are left. It sucks. Yeah, it's gonna be a good day today. Since it was nice and sunny this morning, and I was like, oh, I don't need my jacket today. It's gonna be a nice day. Of course.
How'd that work out for you?
It worked out awesome. If I had my coat, I'd be absolutely cool with it. But now I gotta sit and walk at least 300
Okay, guys
yards
who
to
just
my
came
car.
in, I'm looking for your working rough draft to be stapled to the back of your rough drafts and turned in. So I should have all of your papers. I'll be nicer to you guys as far as working rough draft. We didn't have any help yesterday. Okay. So today's lesson is going to be a review for some people, but it is one of the prerequisites for your next class, and that is just making sure that you understand the elements of an outline, and because they expect that you'll outline things in the next 2 classes. And so I've been, you've seen the model that I've showed you several times. That projected organization model is an example of an outline. But what we're going to do, I'm just going to give you some notes on outlining. I'm going to go from very general to moderate to very specific. So there'll be 3 examples of an outline. And like you say, it's testable material, but for a lot of you, it's going to be your review or one of those, oh yeah, I forgot that about outlining. So it's not something that you haven't done probably a lot in the past, but since it's a prerequisite for the next class, I have to kind of go over it. Okay? So I'm going to start with the idea of a very general, very simplistic outline. And they always start with a title. Always title outlines. It's like, remember in science class where your teacher would take off points if you didn't label your drawings? Same thing. It's kind of like a drawing of an essay. So you have to title it. Okay? And then, this is the most basic pretty much that you can get. Okay? Even if it's only a paragraph, you have to have an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. Even if it's a single paragraph. Okay? So, that is the most simplistic outline that you will ever see. Okay? And so it's intro, body, conclusion. Okay, that's the absolute simplest. Now it's still simple, but not quite as simple is that 5 paragraphs essay that I gave you. Same thing, you still have to have a title. Okay? The Roman numeral 1 is still the intro. If you have a 1, you must have a 2, and again, you have to have a 3 because you have to have intro, body, conclusion. But this time, you're going to have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And this is why. Because with every intro, you have to have some material in there, right? You have to have some supporting ideas and so on and so forth. So you might have your hook as the option or whatever, but just the outline itself, if you have an A, you absolutely must have a B. Okay? So this could be thesis statement, criteria 1, criteria 2. Okay? C is optional. But if I have an A, I have to have a B. Okay. C, D, E, F, any letters after C, but if you have one example, you have to have a second example. It's just for, you've probably heard parallelism. That's what that's for, is so you have some parallelism in your paper. Okay? So, ABC. Now, this might be your projected organization. This right here is your projected organization in most papers. Okay? So that's, in most papers, that's your projected organization. So this would be X, Y, Z, or like we did style, safety, or the key word we did. What performance? Right? So whatever, it could be X, Y, Z, it could be style, safety, performance, it could be, cleanliness, like we're in the restaurant review. So in 2, again, you have to have your topic sentence, which is usually X, right? And you have to have at least an A and a B. Again, C is optional. Okay? And then this is topic sentence. Y. You must have an A and a B. This is topic sentence Z, A and B. And then this is your conclusion. And your conclusion has to have A, B, C, and a summation. Okay? Where's the sign-in, guys? It's back there. That's from lunchtime. You're passing up to your seat. Okay. So A is item X, so style. So I'm only going to talk about style in that. say Ppcc is performance. So your topic sentence is only about X, so it's that first thing that you're talking about. Okay? Okay, so this is, so that's extra simple. This is simple. I still call this simple.
Wait, I didn't see. No, I didn't.
Okay, so this is your simple outline. What was the aha? Did you guys know that either through that and you have to have a B? You guys remember that? Some people do, but that's the one thing people like, oh, I didn't realize. Okay? And it's okay to have a D and an E and an F. And what happens is the more details you put or the more examples and facts that you put in, then you might have a few more letters. Okay? So this is the traditional 5-paragraph essay. That's either a single paragraph with an intro, body, a conclusion, or it could be a 3-paragraph essay. An introductory paragraph with a projected organization, body, and conclusion. Okay, so it could be, that could be either. This is the traditional 5-paragraph. Now, you're going to have, this is a little bit more moderate. This one's a little harder or more difficult. So this is the moderate example. So still need the title. The only difference between the simplistic and the moderate is how much information I want to put, and if I only want like a 5-paragraph essay or if I'm doing like a multiple page essay. So in this one I told you to think of this as subtopics. If your paper is getting a little bit more involved, I would tell you that your outline, instead of just specific topics, might be sections of your paper. Where this is paragraphs, this is a paragraph about style, and this is just one paragraph and it's only about style. The more intricate one might be sections of your paper. So you might have several paragraphs in that section. Okay? So you still have an introduction paragraph, okay? I still might have A, but maybe this time I have A. Let's say this is about animal experimentation, okay? So then my thesis is unrestricted animal experimentation should not be justified in research, okay? So that's going to be my thesis. Unrestricted animal experimentation. Okay, so A, let's say in my first body or my first section, I'm probably going to do an overview, and maybe my overview is going to talk about animal experimentation in cosmetics. Animal experimentation in, let's say, genes and like growing limbs and stuff like that, and medications. That's going to be like my focus in my paper. So let's say A is meds. Okay. So if meds is my topic here, then I might have a 1 and a 2. If I have a 1, I have to have a 2. 3 and so on and on. Okay. So then I would maybe have a factor detail about meds that I'm going to put in my paper. And then maybe another factor detail. Now this one is moderate in that I'm not going and we're going to put all my quotes in this paper, and I'm not making it this over extravagant doctoral dissertation. Again, this is just an outline. And so maybe I just choose as the author of this outline not to be as intricate. Other people want every single detail, all their quotes and everything else, and so they're going to have a little bit more intricate of an outline. So then I would have to have B, and I said B was going to be cosmetics, right? And then I'd have a 1 and a 2, okay? And then C, I said was, let's just call it future experimentation, just okay? And then again, a 1 and a 2, okay? And so then when I get to my Roman numeral 2, what's it going to be about? Only about meds, right. Okay. So when I'm introducing it, I don't give too many facts or details. I might have a sentence or two about how medications are being used in animal experimentation in order to create new medications, and a lot of times medications are experimental and often don't make it to market. And then when I get over here, I'm going to fill out in more detail what it was that I said in my introduction. So then here, I would have a topic sentence about meds, okay, and animal experimentation, obviously. Okay, and then again I have an A, okay, but this time it might be, this is more specific, and I might have a 1, maybe this time I want, and then I have a 2 and so on, and then I have a B, but I don't have a lot to say about that, so I don't have a 1 or a 2, I just have a B. And then I have a C, and maybe I have a 1 or 2 and a 3. And that's okay. You don't always have to have a 1 or a 2 for every single one. As long as I don't have a 1, I don't need a 2. Okay? But if I decide to be that detailed, if I have a 1, I have to have a 2. 3 is optional, 4 is optional, so on and so forth. So that is a more moderate style of a outline. Okay. Now, an intricate outline, and I'm just going to show you one example. Still sticking with the meds idea, okay, or the animal experimentation idea. This is where, well, okay, I need to go back actually, I'm sorry. So, where I had my A and my 1 and 2, and I had my B and 1 and 2, and then my C, 1 and 2, and then I had 2 here. As I said, that this wouldn't necessarily just be single paragraphs, this might be sections of papers. And what I tell people to do is think about how you look at the internet. You know when you go to the internet and you go to a page and they have those hyperlinks? And when you push on that hyperlink, maybe you have like a hyperlink that says, and it just automatically goes to that section. Or a textbook. When you look at a textbook, you're just looking at the main bolded things to see if that's the section you really should be in to study. Okay? That's what you can think of here is you never put intro. Intro is automatically expected. Okay? You know that if you're starting your paper, you're introducing. So you never write intro as a heading. But then you can use leveled headings for the rest of your paper. So say I put in, or I don't put intro, I start my introduction, and then maybe this, so before I start I would do overview, and I kind of give a history of animal experimentation as an overview. Okay? And so in my overview I talk about meds, I talk about the cosmetics, I talk about the future, okay? And I kind of do an overview of that. So that would be my second paragraph. And then my third paragraph would be just about, or my third section would just be about animal experimentation and medicines, okay? And so then I use that level heading as a way to organize my paper, see? And so a lot of times what I do in my outline is I will use the this topic sentence to kind of guide what my headings will be on my paper. Okay. So a little bit more intricate, and this is like I say, if you're going to write a textbook or if you're going to get into a doctoral presentation or something to that effect. Again, you still have your intro. Your intro has all of the elements of the intro. It has the thesis statement, the hook, the background information, everything you need. Okay, might have your A. Generally, ABC is all the introduction has. Your introduction doesn't necessarily pull out a lot of that stuff. Your second paragraph would be your first body paragraph about meds. Okay, here is where you might see A, 1, 2, A, B. Okay, you've seen these, right? Okay. So this might be, I might tell you a fact or a detail here, and then I might give a direct quote here, and maybe a statistic here. All of them supporting that fact or detail. Okay, you've seen those, and you probably, then this, like I say, you will not encounter this for you to write. You might encounter it in a textbook that you see, but you won't write this in undergraduate. You've maybe even seen where they have those that go I, D, and so on. You've probably seen those with the little letters. This is when you get into like encyclopedias and things like that might have these absolutely tiny letters, so you don't have to do that. Something I've seen, and I don't particularly like, is that students who tend to ramble will, instead of keeping it with maybe 5 categories, which is more than enough for 10, 15 page paper, will have like Roman numeral 17, Roman numeral 18. Well, all they're doing is eliminating these center sections. Okay? So if you really are looking for organization style, it's better to, this is only one section and it's only about unrestricted balance foundation. This is only one section right here and it's only about meditations. Okay? So it's the same thing as paragraph unity, but you might have several paragraphs talking about meditations. Okay? And like I said, like I might have one talking about progressive meditations and how they go about, going into the brain forest and finding it, and then they have to drug test it on animals in order to see if it's safe. And then I might have a paragraph on how these safety measures, despite the fact that they try to, that we don't want to experiment on humans, that's used on animals is usually only something like 5% of ever goes to market, because the animals are going to find out that it's not going to cure the disease that they think it cures. So that's how you section the paper. So you don't have to go out to Roman numeral, L, which is 100 of them. Okay? So that's how you do it. That's the general idea. If you have 1, you have to have 2. If you have a small a, you have to have a small b. Okay? C's are optional. So you get into really, really big detail.
So is each section going to be a paragraph?
When you get into these bigger ones, no. I would say each, like, this is a paragraph, all of A, and this is a paragraph, all of B. So this is, and then this is, so when I get to section 2 and talking about meds, I would have my 2A, so I start my topic sentence about meds, and then A, 1, 2, so then this, all of A is just about, going into the rainforest and finding ingredients for medications and whatever. And then I would have my B. That B would be another paragraph, but it would only be a paragraph about what I designate. So I make small little chunks. Paragraph. Okay.
How do you decide what to get off your position? You got to go with the computer and
The library searches, and we're going to go through some of that, but if you go onto the D12 or whatever it's called, to the library, or you can go to Ppcc library, and click on it, and it's in your student core. You click on library resources, and then you should have access to, and I'm going to have a guest speaker and you're showing you these, but you should have access to ERIC, which is an online database. You should have, there's several online databases that you can pull down all kinds of different peer-reviewed articles and research articles that are better than just going on Google and Yeah, they're reliable resource, more reliable. When you do check the reliability, because if they're peer reviewed, that means somebody else is checking the facts. So this, and before they go into an accredited journal or some so it's not just I think they're not even that kind. Okay, but those libraries are really good. We'll learn more about those. Okay, so that's kind of the gist of outlining. Like I said, this is kind of testable material. A lot of it reviewed for some people. The ahas are those that sometimes people don't realize that, oh, if I start to bring up one point, I have to add a second point. And I always look at it as, just think of it as introduction, body, conclusion for every single section you do. And then you'll be fine. Okay? Now, it is not such a science that you have to write out every single even if you get to really, really detailed. Some people, it's not such a science that it's individualized, okay guys? So we're going to deconstruct an essay here. And you're going to see that one person is going to choose to make really this is just a pictorial representation of your paper. And just as your papers are different, your outlines are going to be different. And so there are some liberties you can take. If you don't list every detail, that's fine, but if you get that main idea. It's kind of like if you look at a body, and I call this the skeleton of the paper, right? When you look at the person's skeleton, some people don't have a spleen, right? And other people don't have their gallbladder. So when I go fill in the blanks, I don't put the spleen in there and gallbladder, but she has the spleen and gallbladder in there. Does that make yours wrong? You see what I'm saying? It doesn't. And so if they don't want to put every single detail, it's okay. What it should be is just kind of a roadmap for you to guide you in your paper. And what I caution people against is making your outline so intricate and so detailed that you might as well just have written your paper. Okay, because then you're going to spend all the time trying to get all these lined up and everything else. And because you do have to indent with an outline that you notice the A is here, and then these are even, and then the 1s and 2s come over, and so you have to keep tabbing over and all of this, and you have to get the format correct, the MLA format of an outline. And so in doing that, your paper's going to take longer. If you write every single detail, why not just write the paper? Whereas if you just write the basics, then it gives you a roadmap for your paper, and that gives you kind of a plan. So it's just a different way of planning and organizing. Somewhat like the Venn diagram for the contrast essay. Okay. I'm going to show you a pictorial. I think in pictures, so I don't actually like, for me, I don't particularly like the this format, and that's just because, again, I might as well write my paper, and but this is good for some people. I mean, some people, it's like all you have to do is put a few transitions in, and all of a sudden your paper's written from your outline. But I like this, the picture of it instead. Because I'm a very simple person. I like doing this in like Excel, or sometimes in Paint, or something that when you start to write, the fields will get bigger. And so as your field gets bigger when you're writing in it, it kind of makes the picture for you. But what if you had a picture that looks like this? And then you get the idea, so then I'd have support 1, 2, so that's support 1, 2, 3 for this one, and I'd have 1, 2, 3 for this one, and I'd have 1, 2, 3 for that one, right? Okay. This is called a concept map, or I call it a persuasion map, is what I call this. So it's a map, but it's a pictorial representation of the outline, isn't it? So now I don't have to have my Roman numerals all lined up, and I don't have to have all this weird stuff. But what if I just wrote my thesis out, maybe along with my project organization? And then this is going to be item A, isn't it? So this is going to be style. This is going to be safety. This is going to be performance. Or this is going to be meds, and this is going to be, cosmetics, and this is going to be, future experimentation. And then I have my supports. So you see how it's the same thing, but it's a picture of it. And I don't have to line up everything, so that's why I'm really looking for it. In fact, supports and details, sometimes just for me, because it's my planning document, maybe it's just the quote that I might want to use. Maybe it's a particular URL of a website that's going to really help me with my, research of that. So this concept map becomes my organizational tool, but it also just kind of helps me with, okay, maybe this URL, and go there and find some more research. So I like the concept map. It's a different way of thinking of an outline. Okay, and then of course I can expand it. What if I have 4 reasons? Or what if I only had 2 reasons, So I can take away and add to that as I need. Alright. So we're going to practice this. And you guys get out of here at 3:45, right? Okay. So the actual, I'm going to call it the actual prerequisite is that you guys have to be able to not only construct an essay, but you have to be able to construct a thesis, construct an outline, construct a topic sentence. You have to be able to find it in other kinds, locate it in other kinds of essays, and so on and so forth. So we're going to do this backwards. You're going to deconstruct an essay into an outline. So the essay is already written, so the details and facts are already here. And you're going to have to find them, locate them, and put them onto the outline here. Okay? Now, yeah, you can write right on this. Here's the deal. When I made this, I didn't go through each paragraph and make sure there was only, each paragraph had 4 ideas, so A, B, C, D. So that some paragraphs might only have A, B, C. Some paragraphs might have an E, you might have to add one. I don't think they do, but they might. And it also, again, it's not an exact science. So depending on what you think is like a really important idea, you might add or subtract. You guys, you know them. Don't you love them anymore?
No.
Okay, now we're going to go through the introduction first together, and then I'll let you guys do the rest of it on your own. But the idea is, just as a hint, so that those of you who decide to get lazy, I might take this part away and make you reconstruct the essay with just the outline. Oh my gosh, Miss Benjamin, you wouldn't, would you? I'm sorry?
I was just reading papers as a newcomer in the United States for the high difficult time, but you're reading all in English.
It's a, that would be kind of a, he pointed out that's kind of ironic, but she's not necessarily an English speaker. She has a hard time sometimes understanding. Okay, guys, so first paragraph says, as a newcomer to the United States, have you ever had a difficult time understanding normal spoken English on TV, at work, or in school? If you have, you're not alone. Many beginning students of English have a difficult time learning to listen in English. Listening can actually be one of the more difficult language skills to master, but there are a number of strategies that can help you comprehend spoken English better. These strategies can be broken down into pre, while, and post-listening strategies. Okay, so let's go back. It asks what the hook is. So somebody, if you think you know what the hook is, raise your hand. Okay, what's the hook?
That's the first sentence.
Okay, why is that the hook? How do you know? Okay, so it's an attention getter. Some people might relate to it because maybe they're not already an English speaker. And also it's a question, and that's one of the strategies for a hook is either a question or statistic or something like that. So then write down your hook. Okay, and it doesn't have to be verbatim, you just get the idea. But okay, so then the second says thesis statement. So go through there and read a few of the sentences and tell me what the thesis statement is.
Many students in English have difficulty timeline with listening.
Okay, is that the position they're taking?
I think it's these strategies can be broken down into two
Okay, that's the projected organization. Yeah.
Listening can actually be one of the more difficult language skills to master, but there are many different English strategies that can help you comprehend this.
Yeah, that's it. Yes, sir. Okay, so that, and remember that projected organization doesn't have to be stuck to the thesis statement. So the actual thesis statement is, there are a number of strategies that can help you comprehend spoken English better. So if I said, what is this person writing about? Oh, they're writing about the number of strategies that can help a person listen better. Okay, you see what I'm saying? So it tells the position that the person's taking. And then what's the projected organization? Pre, while, and post, right? Okay, I'm going to start you on the second paragraph and then I'm going to let you guys go by yourselves. So the second paragraph. The process of preparing yourself to listen to a TV program or classroom lecture is sometimes just as important as the actual practice of listening. If you know that a lecture or TV program is going to be on a particular subject, you can practice the strategy of predicting. Okay. What sentence is the topic sentence?
This one. Pretty.
Is it the first sentence or the second sentence?
The second.
Okay, why isn't it the first? So that first.
Because it's more of an introduction.
Yeah, that's a transition sentence. So that.
Okay.
But what was confusing to some students is it has the word preparing yourself, and somebody's like, well, it says preparing. And so that confused students. But what they're looking for is predicting. So it has a transition sentence before it has the topic sentence. So think about this though, guys, when you're making your outlines, is it's okay to have a transition sentence here or there to make the sentences flow. And that way your paper is not so choppy. It doesn't always have to be topic sentence. First sentence in every single paragraph has to be the topic sentence. It doesn't have to be. Okay? And then I'll let you guys go on your own. I know you can do it. Kimberly or Brandon? You guys can work together. It's fine. Okay, so just really quickly, might not be here yet. Doesn't look like it is yet. See the conclusion. That's what we're talking about. Okay, I know you might not be completely finished, and I'll give you a chance to finish up, but look at the general conclusion. Now, given a paper, generally, in a conclusion, what you do is you restate the thesis statement, kind of summarize up your main points, which you've already talked about in the body of your paper. Would you need that information again in your outline? No. So all they're looking for is that last summation, or maybe even the call to action. So what's that last, sentence or two? So looking at the ending here, what do you think you might write? Yeah, I would start with this: try these strategies today and see if you notice improvement in your listening skills. Would be your general conclusion. So it's your call to action there. Because you've already said everything else. You already told everybody that it's a difficult experience, but you can use predicting, guessing, and evaluating to help make your frustration. And they changed the wording a little bit to lessen your frustration, right? So it said, might be difficult before. Now they're saying to lessen your frustration. So it's tiny bit different, and we just do that to spice things up so we're not just repeating the same words over and over again. But then generally the conclusion is just, hey, why not try them out and see if they help you? Okay? So I'll let you go ahead and finish that. And now you guys have an example of that would be probably what you would use for most 5 paragraphs. And then you can make it a little bit more moderate if you were doing, when we do our last essay, the research essay, you'd probably use the moderate.
get short. Wish we just be sunny again.
I kind of like the fact that we're getting some rain. Just like,
Well, if it's continue to rain, just stop while I'm walking in there. So I parked as far as you
so
possibly
mighty.
can. What's one movie he doesn't play a crazy guy?
I don't know what I want to. There's a couple.
Who?
The guy who plays it is Sheryl Benjamin. Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Liar, liar.
In what movie does Jim Carrey play but he's not a crazy guy?
Did you see the Truman Show?
The what?
The Truman Show?
Still
Excellent.
really-
No, I don't think he is. I think he reacts the way anybody would in that situation.
It was just crazy situation.
Okay, sporadic.
I don't know.
Mr. Popper's Penguins?
I watched
He wasn't
that
really
and
crazy.
I'll start giggling before he says anything just so I know what to say.
It's kind of ironic that he's like really depressed.
Yeah. It's
Like one of the happiest, funniest guys out there. He's pretty depressed.
Have you ever read the poem Richard Cory?
I read Richard Cory in my 8th grade year. I don't know why I still remember that, but I do.
I love it. I love that lesson. I don't necessarily like the poem, but I love it.
Many guys.
It's funny because you look at some people who think, gosh, I had to go through all the things that you went through. I don't know if I'd survive it. I don't know if I do it. And you see some people who seemingly have life just fine.
I think I could handle being rich and powerful. That'd be cool. It'd only have to be for a limited amount of time. I mean, the powerful part, the rich could stay.
I like the Facebook thing that says, they say money can't buy happiness. Crying at Porsche, but it's easy to cry on a bicycle. Yep. Or it's a lot more comfortable. Okay, but you guys get the idea. Yeah. I'll go over a few of these real quick for you just to see that you have them.
You cry on a bike, you fall off and hurt.
So paragraph 2, we said that that second sentence, if you know what election's going to be on TV, you can practice the strategy of predicting. And then predicting is when you try to guess what you will hear before you actually hear it. I would put that as my next mean because they're defining what predicting means. But then the second paragraph. So the A would be predicting is when you try to guess what you'll hear before actually hearing it. That would be my A. B, I would not use this next sentence as B. To me, this is a filler sentence. If you think about a subject before you listen and predict what is going to be said, you will understand more of the lecture or TV program as you listen. Try asking yourself these questions before listening. And so my C would be, what is the topic? My D would be, what do I already know? I would put a couple of extras in.
Yeah.
Okay? But, again, I'm telling you, it's not such a precise science that if yours is tiny different than mine, that it's going to be counted off. It's just, did I get the main ideas that I want to reflect in my paper on my own? Okay? So then, the second paragraph, an excellent while listening strategy is practice of making guesses about what you hear. Would that be your topic sentence? I would say so. Oftentimes people do not need to understand or hear every word of a lecture, conversation, or TV show to understand the main idea of what is being said. Would you put that as your next sentence? as a filler sentence to me. Some ways of making good guesses in listening is to first, and see, there's where you can get, that's your clue. First do this, second do this, third do this. That's giving you a clue as to the steps, okay? So first, pay attention to the speaker's gestures and facial expressions. That would be my A. These things can often communicate more than words can say. That's a filler sentence. To practice the strategy, try listening to a video without sound. Pay careful attention to the speaker's gestures and facial expressions. Okay? And so you guys can put those in as you like. So in other words, don't forget that it's okay to have filler sentences. It's okay to have transitional sentences that you don't put on your outline. Okay? All right. We only have 15 minutes, and I want to go through this as a just a review of thesis statements. What we're going to do is we're going to look at some thesis statements, and we're going to determine whether they are good thesis statements according to our criteria as college students, or poor thesis statements. Wow. And then all of that really hard. Is that right? We're good.
Yeah.
Okay. If it is a poor thesis statement, we're going to discuss what we can do to make it better. Okay? You might want to write something down, I don't care, it's your judgment, but if you're having a little bit harder time grasping the idea of exactly what a thesis statement is, that's it. So the first one that we're going to look at, I'm going to tell you why I think owning a gun should be illegal in the United States. Why is it not good? It's not.
Well, it's in first person,
Yeah.
for starters.
Remember I told you not to directly, by the way, as far as the definition of a thesis statement, it is arguable, and it is a complete sentence, and it's not a question. However, remember the pet peeves I told you about? I'm going to tell you why. So it makes it a weak thesis statement. So I think, you don't even need the I think. Owning a gun should be illegal in the United States is okay. I think okay thesis statement, what would make it better?
I think owning a gun should be legal in the United States because
Yeah, you're projecting our religion.
Yes.
So owning a gun should be illegal in the United States because X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Okay? That would be a little bit better. And or you can go, because guns are so readily available, crooks can get a hold of them, they're dangerous to kids, and some other thing are all reasons why guns should be illegal in the United States. So you don't have to do the XYZ after, you do it before. Okay? You have to say this. It was funny because I had an ethnic gal in my class, and she was so cute because she was, I don't know what's wrong with this. And I was like, how to make my favorite Chinese? She goes, how to make my favorite Chinese dish? She goes, yeah, how do you make it? That was so cute. She was the cutest lady. So what's wrong with it?
It's a question.
Is it?
No,
How to make my favorite Chinese dish? First it started with something.
yeah, the same. Yeah.
How do I fix it?
You could define what the dish is.
Okay, in order to make my favorite Chinese dish, you need the following ingredients. Or you might say you need a clean kitchen to prepare several ingredients in order to put together, and so it might be a group of things. Okay. So again, you can add your projected organization to this and it will be better. In order to make my favorite Chinese dish, you need these things. Or I would probably keep this out. I mean, there's not a lot of arguable things about this being good. If you want to learn how to make my favorite Chinese dish, first you need to take the culinary class by Song Jong-mi. Then you need to then you need to study about Eastern spices. And finally, I will teach you the ancient secret.
Ancient Chinese.
There you go. Being more creative certainly makes for a better paper. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Okay? How about this one? I've lived in Modesto, California for most of my life. That is a sentence. What's wrong with it?
It's in first person.
First person. Sometimes it's okay. Right. First person.
Which is the secret.
Yes, it's a statement. Yeah. There's nothing arguable. There's nothing that would put meat into the paper. Okay, this would just be the rambling on paper you get from somebody. I like to call this the crazy lady check. If you go out into the hall, and you have to jump like this too. You have to go, I've lived in Modesto for most of my life. People go, that's the crazy lady check, okay? But, okay, what if I did that and I went, hey, I've lived in Modesto most of my life, and I just love that Colorado has all four of the seasons. It's just beautiful to see the different changes. I never get to see that. You wouldn't think I was a stranger. Most people would go, yeah, I really like Colorado weather. You might go, I don't know why she talked to me, but it wouldn't be that. It wouldn't be that. Get away. Okay. But think about that. I call it the crazy lady check. If you do the crazy lady check for one of your sentences, and it doesn't check out, probably a thesis statement. How can I change that?
No.
Still nothing really to say about that. Because there's nothing, no
I
need
lived
after.
in Modesto, California for most of my life because
Okay, there could be a because after that. But how about this one? Since I've lived in Modesto, California most of my life, I know a lot about poverty, over-congested highways, and some other.
Pollution.
And what?
Pollution.
Pollution, there you go. Although those are still big subjects, but, okay. Or since I've lived in Modesto most of my life, I've experienced some of the greatest wine of the Napa Valley. I've experienced right? So when you get some meat into your paper, that now I have some paragraphs that I can write. Okay? Or, I've lived in Modesto, California most of my life, and I've learned the following things. Again, that still makes for a rambling paper sometimes. So you have to make sure you're precise on the following things that you learn. How about this one? The current crisis in Israel has not only caused strife between Israelis and Palestinians, but also between other nations in the world. Oh, I see it. Come on, you're not wrong. That's a good one. Okay. It's pretty good. It could lead into a comparing contrast about Israelis and Palestinians. It could, you're talking about the different strife between the countries. Me too. Okay. Good, bad?
It's bad because.
Okay, here's the thing. As far as the criteria for a thesis statement, it works. It's a complete sentence, it's not a question, and it does give a position right there. It is bad. But here's where you say, for a fifth grader, this is open. This is where I go, nice job, Tommy, for the little fifth grader, okay? But if after you pass the fifth grade, it needs to be a little bit more meaty than this. So what do we do to fix it? Huh? No, because that's okay. But stronger. The following. Okay, how about this? I like to change the beginning of it. I also like to change, because listen, if I think about going to the dean of this school. If I go to the dean of the school with this thesis statement, The cafeteria at this college is bad. He's gonna go, get out. And you wanna know why? Because you just brought him a problem, not a solution. You didn't come and say, hey, because, how about this? Instead of cafeteria is bad, say, some ways to improve the situation in our cafeteria are, right? Or something like that. Okay, so then when I go in, I say, hey, I polled 100 students and we've all decided that our cafeteria really needs some improvement. And so some ways that we might be able to improve our cafeteria is A, B, C. Right? And so now first of all, you're approaching it in a positive. Okay? And any time that you're arguing, the affirmative is easier to argue usually than the negative. Okay?
Did you start off the looking for a job? Did you start off that way?
Moving on. You guys get the next bet.
Oh, I know you're on the table. Oh, I didn't even I did the wrong one. I did the other six.
Yeah. So like I say, just going into your dean's office and saying, hey, our cafeteria is bad. He's just gonna say get out. But if you go and you say, our cafeteria could be improved in the following ways, maybe you listen. Right? I'm gonna beam you too. Okay, the next one. Employers look for employees who can take initiative and manage their time to make good decisions. It could be stronger, but look at this. I can even write, I could write a how-to book on this, and I can have a section in my book about taking initiative, and I can have like this whole, Steve Covey, go for it, kind of self-improvement type book and have it about this thesis. Right? So it's okay. Alright, that was our one. Okay. Can somebody grab the lights for me and turn them on? We're not leaving yet. I'm going to give you your homework. It's not hard homework. It's reading. It's reading? Yeah. Okay, so no writing homework this week. Or, today. I'll try to get your papers back on Thursday so you can write your finals over the weekend. Let me grab the calendar here. My apologies, guys. The death of my dad, and I know you guys understand. So we are going to be 1 week behind as far as the schedule. So we're kind of try to stick some stuff in there to get us back where we're supposed to be. To help us do that, could you please, today is the 25th. We should have already done an MLA workshop, but that was the day that my father passed. So what we're going to do is I would like for you to please read before class next time pages 371 through 419 in that everyday writer text. That's the MLA section. Okay? And so you'll already kind of have an idea about what we're going to be working on in the workshop next time. And then 371 to 419. Okay, the second thing I need you to read, we're going to be moving from compare and contrast. So you'll get your papers back and you'll be able to write your final, but we're going to be moving from the compare and contrast idea to a problem solution. And there's a really good reading in our text, the 50 readings text. It's called Curbing Nature's Paparazzi. It starts on page 267 and ends on 272. Huh? Curbing Nature's Paparazzi. P-A-P-A-R-A-Z-Z-I. 267 to 272. It's a really good story. And it's in the genre of the what did I say? Problem solution essay. And the cool thing about problem solution essays is often you'll have something that maybe you'll give a problem to, and there's solutions out there, but one solution really outweighs another solution. And so like, it's kind of like that kid going, you know, your mom says, you know, let's just stay home this weekend, and you come up with a much better solution. No, we don't want to stay home. We want to go to the movies. Kind of like that. So we're going to write a problem solution essay about something. You can start thinking about it, and hopefully that the reading will help you think about a subject that you might want to write a problem solution paper on.
See you Thursday.
See you Thursday.